Okay. Well, welcome everybody. It's nice to see all of you here tonight. Hi. I would like, before I get into introductions and all that kind of stuff, I'd like to start with a prayer this evening. So, however you are comfortable with praying, well, I have a prayer, so you can just listen as we pray together. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord our God, we praise you as we come together to listen to your words to us, to share experiences with others, and learn of your love and compassion. We ask that in your kindness, you fill us with the knowledge of your will in our lives. Allow our ears and our hearts to be open to your words and your wisdom, that we may use what we learn for the greater good of you and in helping our neighbors through our love and actions. We thank you for bringing us all together to share this evening and for the day that you have given us thus far. May we leave behind those events that are troubling, knowing that you will tend to our needs. We need only to listen to your words and follow with our hearts. We ask all these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Well, welcome. We're very glad you're here this evening. You can sit back and take a sigh of relief because I'm not going to put you on the spot. I'm not going to ask you the meaning of life or anything like that tonight. So unfortunately, you're going to listen to me talk most of the evening tonight. But there's a lot of things I want to share with you and just kind of introduce the RCIA program and what to expect. For those of you that I've not met or introduced myself before, I'm Kathy Rao. I am the director of the RCIA program here. Fortunately, you don't have to listen to me every week in RCIA. So just this evening to kind of kick it all off. I do want you to know that we're here to answer your questions. So if you have a question, please don't hesitate to wave your hand, or poke the person beside you if you have a sponsor or a friend beside you and say, I don't get it or I don't understand, and maybe they'll speak up for you, but don't hesitate to ask questions because that's really what we are here for, is to answer your questions. And tonight I'm just going to kind of introduce the program and kind of lay the groundwork for it.
Now, I do have one question.
Okay.
What are the responsibilities of a sponsor?
That's a good question, and I'm going to hit that in a little bit.
Okay,
so hold on to that question, okay? I do want to encourage you to participate as much as you feel comfortable. I'm not going to put anybody on the spot and say, you have to answer this question in front of the whole group. You have to read for me in front of the whole group. You're welcome to participate as much as you want. We will have small group discussion times. You're welcome to interject and participate in that as well. The most important thing you'll hear me say over and over here again is there are no stupid questions. Inevitably, somebody on one side of the room, and I'm not pointing to anybody in particular, on one side of the room will have a question and somebody on the other side of the room will have the same question going through their head at the same time. So please don't feel that there are stupid questions. We are here to answer any questions that you have. If I don't know them, I've got lots of experts and team members around in here and other Catholic members that will help us in figuring out or answering the questions. So don't hesitate to interrupt or ask questions. When we think about all of us here together, there's a lot of people here from a lot of different backgrounds for a lot of different reasons. And we have to keep that in mind as we are joining in this group together. We're going to learn from each other. We're going to have a chance to talk with each other, and that helps us to grow in our faith and in this journey that we're taking. Let me tell you just a little bit about myself and what I'm doing up here, why I'm here. I am currently a teacher at St. Mary's School. I have been a lifelong Catholic, grew up here in Marietta, went to St. Mary's Church, St. Mary's School, went away to college, became a teacher, came back here, got married. My husband Dave and I live in Lowell, and we have 4 children. I sent my first one off to college this year. So brand new adventure in my life and excitement. But we have 4 daughters, ranging from 18 and a half to 11 and a half, almost 12. So 1 in college, 2 in high school, and 1 still at St. Mary's School. So I've got a wide age range and a group of activities going on there. Before we had children, I was a teacher in St. Mary's School and in a Catholic school. I loved teaching children about God and sharing my faith with them. When we decided to start a family, I decided I wanted to stay home because I felt that was my first responsibility. That's what I wanted to do, and I was able to do that. So I stayed home with my children. I realized immediately how much I missed sharing my faith. A friend of mine was involved in RCIA and said, you know, now that you're not teaching, this could be your night out. Come help me at RCIA. So I started coming on Monday nights. Then she moved away, and lo and behold, this position opened up for director for RCIA. So this is my 19th year doing this. And people go, why are you doing this again? Why do you keep coming back? I love being here. I love sharing my faith. I love helping people grow in their faith and learn what Christ has, what his goal is for their life. And making that a part of your lives. So it's a wonderful experience for me, but I'm also learning. I do not know it all, and I'll tell you what, you're going to ask me questions, and I'm going to go, I don't know. Even after doing this for 18 years, I don't have all the answers. This is an ongoing journey, and if nothing else, I want to get that across to you, that this is the beginning of your journey. You're not going to end in 9 months and go, okay, I'm graduating, I'm done, I've learned it all. It truly is the beginning of this journey in your life, and how Christ is going to be a part of that. Every day we decide, I'm going to follow Christ. I'm going to live this kind of a life. And so that's a decision that you make on this journey day after day to continue following Christ. I would like to introduce our team. Fortunately, you don't listen to me all the time. So our team is a group of people here in the parish that come every week, and we take turns talking. And I'll get to the topics and all that a little bit later, but I just kind of want to point out a few of the people. Unfortunately, they're not all here tonight. Some of them are out of town, but I'll start with, in the back of the room, you see Father Mike. Hello, Father Mike. Okay, and you'll hear from all of them later on. Father Tom, you'll hear from him too. Deacon Lee Wisen, he is on our team and will be presenting some topics throughout the sessions too. Where's Joe? Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm lost in the crowd. Joe Schmidt is the Religious Education Director here at St. Mary's, and he is also on our team and one of our speakers. We're missing two of the people that will also speak. Janet Schilling and Rafe Maloney could not be here this evening, but they will be a part of our team, and you'll get a chance to meet them as well. I have a couple other people that help us out on our team. They don't get up and talk, but they're just as important as everybody else on our team. Barb Ritchie is my greeting person. She's over here, and you'll see her every week when you come in. She'll hand out papers and tell you where you need to sign in and all that. So when you come each week, if you come, it doesn't matter which entrance you use, but if you start over here, she'll have handouts and things for you that you'll need. Betsy. Hi, Betsy. Betsy's back there. Betsy Lang, she's my kitchen coordinator. She's got a big job, and you'll really appreciate her because she does wonderful snacks for us. And we'll take a break here in a little bit, and you'll have a chance to check out the snacks and get some refreshments there. So, okay. A little bit about RCIA. Let me just give you a little bit of a kind of an overview. This process is something that the church has established as a way to help people through this journey. There is something that has called you here, okay? Not telephone call, but in some way God has moved you to take this step to be here. There's something inside that's going, you know, I've got questions, I'm wondering, I'm curious, and so there's something that's led you here. That's something being God. Whether we want to admit it or say it, that is the reason that you're here. This is a journey ahead. It's not 9 months of classes. This is the beginning of your journey of faith. And there are stages in this journey. In the beginning, we come and, you know, everybody's just kind of inquiring and going, well, I think I got a few questions. And as we go through this process and we teach you and share more about our faith with you, you'll have more questions. And that's a natural part of this process. To question something makes us stronger in that belief and in that faith. So when you have questions, that just helps. There are times when you're going to wonder, am I doing the right thing? Should I continue coming? We want you to come as long as you are comfortable and you continue having questions and want to be a part of this. If you decide anywhere along the way that, I don't like where it's going, I don't like the things that are being said, I don't agree with it, that's fine. Okay, there's no problem with that. We're not going to kick you out the door. We're not going to, that everybody has to go with what they feel and the calling that God has in their lives at that time. We do have steps along the way. You'll hear a lot of terms like the right of acceptance, the right of election, inquirer, candidate, catechumen. There's a lot of words we throw out, and we try to explain those words before we actually get into them and what are they. And you'll have different terms. Like right now, everybody that's here learning is called an inquirer because you're here to question and ask and learn. Along the way, that'll change where you'll be catechumens, you'll be candidates, and that just is a matter of the development in the stage throughout the RCI process. We are here to basically open the doors, open the books, and say, here's what we do as Catholics. We are not here to put down other churches. We are not here to put down other faiths. We are not here to put down people. You will not hear us doing that. All we are going to do is say, this is what we are. This is what we believe. If you believe as we believe, we welcome you to join us. So people say, well, how come it takes so long? I've been to Mass. I see what you do. You stand, you sit, all these things. I've watched you. But there's a lot to what we believe. And as I pointed out, even I don't know it all. I don't have all the answers. There is so much to our faith and our history. It's not just this book, which mine's kind of tattered and beaten up, but it's not just this book. Our faith is about Scripture, but it's very much about tradition as well. A lot of people say, well, how come you don't go just by the Bible? Well, there's a lot of tradition. You probably have traditions in your own family that you've shared and celebrated together. The church is that way as well. We have a lot of traditions that we have handed down from Christ. And those are things that we continue to practice. And so, we're going to open all that up and say, here's what we believe. Here it all is. RCIA, the process also recognizes that when you join a church, when you become Catholic, you're not just joining a church. You're not just joining a building. You're joining a community of people. If you look around right now, there's a pretty good-sized community of people right here, right now. Eventually, we will all take our little community here and attend Mass together and share together because the Mass is really at the heart of our faith. And that's something we'll get to a little bit more in detail. But this is you might say, our little church right now, our little community. It allows us to get to know each other, get to know some people, so that when you go to Mass, which hopefully we're all doing because that's really an important part of our faith, that when you go to Mass and you see all those people, it can be a little overwhelming, a little intimidating. So you get to know a few people on a little more one-on-one basis, a little more intimately. What are we going to ask of you? First of all, attend classes. You can't learn about our church and learn about what we are if you don't come and hear what we have to share. So Monday night attendance is very important. Almost, I don't want to say more importantly, less importantly, but as important is attending Mass. You need to come to church because that is our faith where we all gather in a community. So come to class and come to Mass. To say to do one or the other, you're not getting the whole picture. You need to come to Mass and see what the church is about, but come here to learn in detail about the Mass. If you have to miss, and I don't have a marker, if you have to miss, if you got a pen and would open up your binder, I know there's a schedule in there, And would you write this down in there? I want to give you a couple phone numbers to write down on your schedule or somewhere in there if you can. My name, Kathy Rao, if you would write that down. It's R-A-U-C-H. And my phone number is 896-2901. And then let me give you the phone number for the rectory. That is the priest house, which is right next door. The rectory is 373-3643. The reason I want you to have these numbers is if you cannot be here, please let us know. As I mentioned, we become a little community. And believe it or not, when there's one or two people missing from our community, people come in and go, oh, where is so-and-so? If you decide that you're not going to come back to class, call me and let me know. Okay, I'm not going to be offended. I'm not going to be hurt. I would just like to know so I'm not going, where is this person? Are they okay? Okay, I'm a mother. I worry. Thinking, okay, are they in a car wreck? Are they all right? Are they, you know? So I do those kind of things. So let us know if you're not going to be here. And sponsors, same thing. We do ask sponsors to come with you every week. That's a part of the process. So if either of you can't be here, or let the other person know, and they can pass it along to us that you're not going to be here, we would appreciate that. We do have a recorder. I have it going right now. So if you miss classes, we try to record the sessions, and then we put them on the website, the church website, and you can actually go on there and listen to the recording of that topic. But ideally, you want to be here. Because there are some topics, like when we go upstairs and take a tour of the church, it's really hard to record that because the echo in the church and everybody's out and moving around. And here we have the microphone, so it would be really, it would be obviously better to be here at the class itself. Take a look at your binder. If you pull out your binder you've got there, inside is a schedule. And you'll notice there is a series of papers in there, the Journey of Faith. On the schedule, you can see the various topics we'll be covering. And then after the topic, like for example tonight it says Welcome to RCIA, it tells you who's going to be speaking. It also says JOF. JOF means these papers, Journey of Faith. You'll notice in your binder there's like 4 sets of papers. The green set is Q. The blue set is the letter C. Then there's an L set and an M set. So, for example, tonight it says JOF Q1 and 12 and M7. So what you have to do, they are actually, all kind of stuck together. So you have to pull them out, and you're going to want to pull out paper number 1 and read that one. Okay? Then you want to go to number 12 and pull that one out. And then to M7, and if you want to do this now, go ahead. I'm okay with that. So then you want to find Q12 and pull it out. And then M7 and pull that one out. Those are the 3 pages that ideally you want to read prior to the night of the talk. Now, obviously, you couldn't read these before tonight. But these would be ones that are just about welcoming to the church. Here's some basic information, things to look over. It is very easy reading. It's not difficult. I'm not going to check it. I know there's places in there where you can write little notes and it asks you questions. This is really for your own personal growth and development. It's going to ask you questions, things to think about, and prepare you for the next topic. Now, if you take a look at next week we're doing prayer. If you look over at the Journey of Faith, there's a whole bunch of them listed there. Now, it might be kind of hard to read all of those, but ideally what I'd like you to do is read those before you come next week. Now, some of them just mention a prayer, like I believe M5 is particularly on one prayer and it kind of breaks it apart. but there's several of them, like 10 and 11. You'll want to look those over before next week's topic, because we'll be talking about prayer. Janet will present a whole presentation, a whole talk about prayer. What is prayer? How do we pray? How do we begin to pray? What are prayers that we use? Do we have to use the prayers that are written down, or can we pray with our own words? All those kind of things. It really helps if you've read those papers before she talks. It'll give you, everybody kind of a baseline, and she'll go from there. She's not going to read over it with you in class. She's not going to say, okay, take your paper out and let me check it. It's not school. Again, it really is for you and how much you want to get out of this. So it helps if you read that before the actual class. Looking down on the schedule, you'll see various topics. I have them all listed there by dates. You'll see a couple places where the lettering changes a little bit, gets a little bigger. Those are dates that you'll need to mark on your calendar where there's something special going on. Okay, the first one being Sunday, November 23rd. We have a special Mass that we all attend together called the Rite of Acceptance. So you'll want to mark your calendar for 10 o'clock that Sunday that you will plan to be here at church. Oh, happy birthday. Yeah. We'll have a big celebration. And then in December, we take a couple weeks off for Christmas time. And then you'll notice as it gets into February and March, there's a few other dates on Sundays where we have special things going on. But we'll get to all of that a little bit later. But I just thought, you want to make sure you mark your calendars with some of those things. And it gives you an idea of our topics and where we go with our topics. You might notice that the topics in the beginning, I don't want to say they're light topics, but they're a little broader. They give us kind of some base information, and then we build on that. As we get farther into the program, in January, we start really getting into the sacraments. We spend at least one night on each sacrament. Some sacraments we spend 2 nights on. There are a couple of topics, like when we get to Eucharist and we get to reconciliation. If you miss that night, the recorder won't be enough. I'll actually ask you to come in and meet with me sometime to go over that one-on-one, because those are really important topics. So keep that in mind. Does anybody have any questions on the schedule or the reading material, anything like that? We will give you, when we get to the Old Testament, we'll actually give you a Bible, so you don't need to worry about going out and buying a Bible or bringing one from home. We'll give you one, so we all will be using the same Bible, so when we read from it, we read from the same page and all of that. We'll also give you a prayer book, so we'll have things along for you, but I don't want to overwhelm you yet. No questions? You want me to keep talking? Okay, keep talking. Another important thing, try to keep an open mind about it all. Okay, we all come here with some preconceived ideas, if you're coming from another church or things that other people have said or things you hear on the street about those Catholic people. And so you have to keep an open mind. I mean, that's really all we're asking is that, listen to what we have to share, be open about it, listen to what God is saying to you, and be open about the whole process. Again, I'll repeat, there is no question that is stupid or too crazy or too difficult, or it might be difficult for me, but I'll call Father Mike and he'll have the answer, or Father Tom will have the answer. So please don't hesitate to ask if you have questions. That's really important. We do have a little box up here on the front table. If you're kind of a timid person and you go, I don't want to ask a question in this group, I'm embarrassed, you can write it on a piece of paper and put it in that little gold and green box. And we'll check it each week, and if there's a question, we'll bring it up and bring it up in the group. So if you want to ask questions, that way you can. You're also welcome to just come and approach any of us, any of the team members or Father, and ask us a question anytime. We'll gladly answer your questions if we can. What else? There is a lot of information in your binder. And I know we always have questions that maybe you're thinking even right now and going, well, I really want to ask about this. Try not to get ahead of yourself and ahead of us. It's real easy to go home. Some people just go home and want to read the whole thing. Take it a step at a time, okay? Because there's a lot of information on each topic that we're going to cover one at a time, and eventually we'll get to all those other topics. But if we're discussing something and we're not hitting the point or the question that you have, please let us know. Sponsors, big question. As a sponsor, I will actually have a sponsor training session, and it's on the schedule. I believe it is October 13th. On October 13th, I want all sponsors to make sure that you are here. During the second part of the evening, I'll ask all the sponsors to go with me in a separate room. We'll have a little what we call sponsor training. I'll really lay it all out. Here's what you need to do as a sponsor. Here's what's expected of you. Obviously, as a sponsor, you're to come every week with them. You're to be a good example and a role model to them. So yes, you need to be going to church. Yes, you need to encourage them to come to church with you. You need to be there to help them, answer questions for them. No, you may not know all the answers. Please don't feel like you need to be a know-it-all. And if you don't know an answer, say, I don't know that. Let's find out together. And help them, encourage them to, let's go find the answers and figure this out together. That's what a sponsor does. A sponsor isn't someone who is all knowledgeable, the all-knowing, all-seeing kind of person. You're just willing to learn and work with them. So sponsors, you need to be here every week, even if they are not here. Sometimes people go, wait a minute, if the inquirer's not here, why do I need to be here? As a sponsor, you need to be here to get notes, to get papers, to get information, to pass on to them. So if your inquirer is not here, sponsor, you still need to be here. Okay? And I'll repeat that again later on too, to remind you. Everybody will have a sponsor. If you do not have a sponsor right now, we will get you one. As you heard when we went around the room, there are people here that are interested in sponsoring, so we will make sure, and that may not happen tonight, either next week or the following week, we'll try to get everybody matched up so you have a sponsor. So there'll be somebody with you. Some basic logistics about our class. Simple things. When you come in, make sure you sign in. There's an attendance sheet. You'll pick up papers. We do have bathrooms. Ladies' bathrooms and handicap bathrooms are out that door. Gentlemen's bathrooms are where that exit sign is, out through that hallway. We will take a snack break here in just a little bit, so you'll get a chance to get up and stretch. Notice the name tags. Black name tags are people who are on the team. So if you see somebody with their name in black. If someone has a blue name tag, that means either they are a Catholic or they are a sponsor. So they're someone that's already either been through the program or they're here to sponsor. If someone has a green name tag, then they're an inquirer. There's someone here that's here to learn. So it's kind of nice to look around and go, oh, okay, there's somebody like me, either as a sponsor or an inquirer. So you know the colored name tags. If you have the wrong name written on your name tag, that sounds silly, but some people have a nickname that you'd prefer to go by. Or if I did your name tag in the wrong color, please come up and let me know at the break, and I'll fix that. I say that because one year I had a very lovely elderly woman that was in the class, and I wrote down her name according to what she wrote on her identification sheet, and we kept calling her by that name. And right before Easter, she said, all my friends call me this other name. And it was her middle name. She went by her middle name, but she never told us that. So here, the whole time I'm calling her by the wrong name. So I don't want to be calling people the wrong name. So let me know if you have a nickname or something that you'd rather go by. The format of our evening. Oh, name tags. One other thing. There will be a box over here at the end of the evening. If you take your name tag off, put it in the box, it'll be here for you next week. So that way you don't take it home and leave it there. If you take it home, just bring it back. But if you want to leave it here, then we'll have it ready for you next week. The format of our evenings, we try to start at 7 o'clock. Tonight I gave it a little bit of time because I know people were still rolling in. But I really like to start at 7 because we want to end by 9 o'clock. I always have a couple people that go, oh, Monday night football, got to get home in time. So, I'll try not to keep you over. There will be, I want to say maybe 2 nights that our topic tends to go a little longer, just because we get so engrossed in what we're doing that we may be a little past 9 o'clock, but we usually are pretty good about 9 o'clock, and I'll cut the team members off. I'm like, you're done, stop. So we'll make sure we're done by 9. We start at 7. We usually talk for the first 45 minutes to an hour. We take a 10-15 minute break. We'll finish up the topic after the break, and then at the second part of the evening, the last half hour kind of varies. If it's a topic that needs more discussion time or explanation, we'll continue with the large group. Sometimes we'll break up into small groups, or sometimes we'll have other things going on like the sponsor training, practicing for the rite that's coming up, or different things. So the end of the evening always varies just a little bit, but we try to get some small group times in so you get a chance to converse with each other. You're welcome to sit wherever you like. You're not assigned seats, so if you are sitting here tonight going, I really don't like the spot I'm sitting in, you can come in next week and find a different place to sit. We're okay with that. You will want to bring your binder with you each week. Even though we're not going to check it, we may refer to it or, say pull out those papers or whatever you need. And I just want to encourage you at this point to ask questions. Don't hesitate to interrupt. If there's something, you have a question about and you don't ask in the group, ask us one-on-one, let us know. You do have, sponsors were given a little sheet, inquirers were given a big sheet. If you don't know all the information, it's okay. Like, you may not know your baptism date or place or those kind of things. But if you can return those either tonight or next week, if possible, I'd like to have that information as soon as possible. A couple other things that I would like to go over. And I've got a couple people that are going to share some things with you this evening. I have a story I'd like to share with you. The story is about a concert that was going on. There was a piano concert going on, and the hall was being prepared. All of the people were coming in, getting ready, awaiting this concert. One of the people attending the concert was a mother with her young son. She thought that by bringing him to hear this great pianist, he might gain interest in those piano lessons that she had started him in. The mother turned to her friends and was talking with them, and as this was going on and they're waiting for the concert to begin, the young boy began to get bored. Not noticing while she was talking, he got up out of his seat and walked away. He wandered off. He saw a door, went through it, looked around, found a piano, started playing on the piano. Noticed the sparkly keys. All of a sudden, the curtains opened. And what, to her wondering surprise, did she see but her son sitting at this grand piano on the stage, beginning to play. So the spotlight came on. All of a sudden, she could hear him playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. As he played and the audience sat there, of course, the mother, horrified, seeing her son up there on the stage in front of everybody, she didn't know what to do. Do I go get him? Do I stay here? What do I do? All of a sudden, the pianist for the concert walked up behind him very quietly, leaned over his shoulder, put his arms around him, and said, "Keep playing. You're doing a great job. Keep it up." And while he was playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, the pianist started playing his own version on the outskirts of the piano. The audience was mesmerized as the master played along with this novice piano player. When they finished, the audience exploded in applause. What we need to keep in mind is God is a lot like that master pianist. What we can do on our own sometimes does not seem like it amounts to much more than a small song like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. But when we know God is there with us, and we truly believe He is there to support us and help us, whatever we do can become a great, wonderful thing with His guidance. So we always have to keep in mind that God is there behind us. He is beside us. He is with us. He is helping us in everything we do. And He has helped you to this point so far, to come here and to learn. And we have to trust that He knows best and that He will guide us in whatever we need to do. I would like to ask Ed Russell to come up. He's going to come up and share with you a little bit of his story and why he is where he is today with us here at RCIA. So Ed, come on up here and share with us.
Hey, Kathy, you said you weren't going to ask anybody the meaning of life. I wish you would, because I do know the true meaning of life.
Oh, go ahead, share it.
No chance of parole. Hello, I'm Ed, and I'm a... Oh, wait a minute, this is Monday, wrong meeting. My name is Ed. And 5 years ago, I was sitting right where you all are. Definitely not with the same attitude that you folks, I know you have, but I didn't. A heckler already. But to get to that, I need to give you a little I need to give you a little background on myself. My religious background is so convoluted it's hard to explain. I was born of a Jewish mother. Through kindergarten, or up to kindergarten, went to synagogue, which I don't remember much. My mother left my father. My father went off to World War II. I was in and out of orphanages, foster homes, different churches, had a lot of religion thrown at me. Nothing stuck. The only thing that stuck was the repetitious stuff that the different Protestant churches do every Sunday, you know. But nothing stuck whatsoever. Never learned, never got love, never learned to give love, never learned to give, just took. And that's how I lived my life. I took. Actually, truth be known, I should be in prison right now. I mean, I just fractured the 10 Commandments. And I didn't break them, I fractured them. And that's the way I lived my life. Went into service, lived the same way. I got married in the service. I was only 19 years old. Not for love, but just because we both needed somebody. We had 4 children. I drove those children away. Those children were old enough. They come to my wife. I wasn't physically abusive, but I was mentally and verbally abusive. And my kids, when they got old enough, come to my wife and say, "Mom, you don't have to take this." And they finally made her see she didn't have to take this. After 30 years, she was gone. Who cares? I don't need anybody. You know, I didn't need anybody spiritually, humanly. I could make it. I went to academy in Columbus to be a police officer. And I was a police officer for 12 years. You know, I didn't go to the academy because I wanted to help people, protect and serve, do what I could for people. I thought I was bullied as a child and in the service. Now I know I wasn't bullied. As you already found out, I got a mouth on me. And I deserved everything I got. But I became a police officer so I could bully other people and get away with it. That is the only reason I became a police officer. Absolutely wrong reason. After 12 years, I went into business for myself, and again, I manipulated people. I cheated people. I did everything wrong. Into during this whole time, I had walls built around me that ain't nobody going to get in. I'm going to do what I can do to you, but ain't nobody going to get in. Nobody's going to know me. Nobody's going to get in to know me. Nothing. Now, around the end of the 90s, something happened. I started second guessing myself. Is this right? Or what am I doing? What I found out was somebody was sneaking in behind me, just like the pianist snuck in behind the little boy. Somebody was sneaking in behind me, and brick by brick, they were stealing those bricks. The walls were coming down, and I had no idea what was going on. I met a wonderful, wonderful woman, and we ended up getting married. She was a cradle Catholic. And when she retired, she wanted to move back to Marietta. I didn't even know where Marietta was. She was from Marietta. How I met her, I don't even ask about that. But we did. We moved back to Marietta. Well, she worked for Kroger's, and she had to work every Sunday, so she'd been away from the church for a while. We moved back to Marietta. She wanted to go to church. I said, well, okay, I'll go to church with you. So I went to church. We came here to St. Mary's, and I sat and watched everybody do their calisthenics and everything they do, and I got thinking, I'd like to know why they do that. So I came to an inquiry session, and I came not open-minded. I came and sat during that inquiry session. I sat back in my chair, I had my arms folded, and I think I even told Kathy, I'm just here to find out why my wife's doing what she's doing. You ain't going to get me. I listened, and I started coming to RCIA. But I came to RCIA with an attitude. And my attitude was, I'm going to teach these people a few things. Because I had done one of the worst things a person could do. I had read the Bible, cover to cover, twice, without an instructor, without anybody teaching me, and that's one of the worst things you can do. It needs to be interpreted. So I'm going to teach these people a few things. And RCIA was hell for the team with me in this class. Look at that back there. And I just made a complete rear end out of myself. Anytime there was a question, my questions were rhetoric. I mean, I didn't expect an answer. I'm trying to tell you you're wrong. I'm trying to tell these people on the team they're wrong. I went right up unto Easter Vigil. I wasn't going to be a Catholic. But something started happening. Like I told you, these bricks were coming down, these walls were coming down, and Easter Vigil. I went to all these churches as a kid. I went to all these other churches. Like I said, nothing stuck. I was looking for something, but I didn't know what I was looking for. And of course, I never found it. Easter Vigil. I was sitting with the class. I had not made up my mind. Still had not made up my mind. Lee will tell you that. Because he kept staring at me. And then I realized I did. I realized what I was looking for. I read the Bible. I couldn't understand it. It didn't make sense. What I was missing was faith. I kept hearing every Mass the mysteries of our faith. Other churches have an answer. They would have an answer for everything. There isn't an answer for everything. It's mystery. And once I conceded to the fact, it's a mystery. But if you believe, that's faith. And I found what I was missing. And I decided, Easter Vigil, to go ahead and do what I had to do. And ever since then, I have found the peace that I've never found my whole life. Don't have to look over my shoulder. I don't have to worry somebody's going to catch me at something. One thing, I never paid tax on an automobile that I bought in my life until I became Catholic. It's cost me. But really, it's faith. That's the key to everything, is faith. And I have found peace, and this wonderful woman that doesn't deserve me, we have a wonderful life, and that's all I can say is faith is the key. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. It's not easy to get up in front of a group of people you don't know and share about your life, but Ed has a remarkable story. And yes, I can remember him sitting at that inquiry. I said he was like a mule. He was dug down in his seat going, I'm not converting. I am not going to concede to what you're saying. And, God, that is how God works in our lives. Sometimes we don't want to let go of that control. I'm in control of my life. I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. I've got everything planned out. Sometimes God has another plan for you, and what we have to do is be open to those plans. What is it that God has planned for your life? We can do some great things ourselves, but imagine with God alongside you what you can really accomplish. So, again, I want to encourage you that you attend Mass. And it is difficult. If you're not used to coming to Mass, it can be a little difficult at first. Pick up the missalette. Don't be afraid to look at the book. In our church, we have the paper that when you walk in, there's a white paper there by the doors. You pick that up. That guides you along with what's going on at the Mass. You're welcome to participate and do everything else everyone is doing at Mass. As Ed says, our calisthenics, stand when everybody stands, sit when everybody sits, kneel when they kneel. Making the sign of the cross, that might be something that's new to some of you. When we come into church, when we begin Mass, when we begin and end prayers, we make the sign of the cross by touching our head, our chest, shoulder, and shoulder. And you say, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's how we begin our prayers and end our prayers. Because everything begins with God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's the way we begin and end everything. So it's one of those things that, that might seem a little strange if you're not used to it, but we have to try to start doing those things so we understand them. We get used to doing those things, and they become part of our routine and part of our lives, incorporating God into everything we do. So try to participate at Mass. It's easy to sit in the back and watch. If you move a little farther forward in church, you can see a little better, you can hear a little better, you can see what's going on. The only thing that you can't do at Mass is to go to communion. I know I have seen people in the past come up to communion that cannot actually receive communion. So when it comes time for communion, we ask that you just stay in your seat. Because communion, the word communion means in union with. So if you are receiving communion, if you are receiving that consecrated bread that everyone else receives, that means you are in union with everyone in the church. You believe as everyone in the church believes. You understand what that is. It's not just a piece of bread. Everybody's going up and sharing a piece of bread. That we believe it truly is Jesus. There's more to it than that. So communion means in union with. If you are not fully in union through baptism, through First Communion, through confirmation, then you do not come up and receive communion. So, because somebody always asks that, why can't I go to communion? I know it's, Father blesses the bread, says the prayer, Well, it's more than that. So once we get to that, and the program itself culminates basically at Easter. There's no test. You can't believe nobody's asked me this. There's no test. We're not going to give you a test and you have to, get a certain percentage on it in order to become Catholic. The test is, as Ed points out, at the Easter Vigil, which is Saturday night before Easter Sunday, if you decide that you want to join the Catholic family, then you get baptized. If you've not been baptized already, you would receive baptism, you receive First Communion, and confirmation. So all 3 sacraments of initiation at the Easter Vigil. And the test is that what I want to do? So, it can come down to the last minute and you go, I'm not sure, or yes or no. That is really the final test, if this is where you're comfortable. Father Mike, would you like to come say a few words? Father Mike's going to come up now.
I want to be loved, so I won't talk long. I just happened to think 2 years ago, I had to go to Marietta Memorial Hospital, and Dr. Mayo put in 2 stents in my heart. One of them is named Ed. I thank you for being open to come here tonight to find out a little bit more about the RCIA and what we are about. The RCIA is, and I'm not going to repeat everything that Kathy said, it's an invitation from Jesus. And you'll probably hear me say this 100 times because I say it almost every week in homily. We are on a pilgrimage to the house of the Father. And God calls us to this pilgrimage and invites us into a deep relationship with the Father. The Catholic Church is not a bunch of laws and rules. The Catholic Church calls us to a relationship with Jesus, who takes us to the Father. There is no other way. No other person, no book, no nothing. The only way that we can be acceptable to the Father is through, with, and in the sacrifice of Jesus. And so he is inviting you. The cards are in your hands. You can be open to that invitation, and you can accept his help on the journey, or you can say, I'm kind of nervous at this point. I'd rather be sitting on the sidelines. We're not here to mock anybody. We're not here to put anybody else down. But we're here to tell you the truth and the way and the life. And that is the person of Jesus.
That was a short version. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? No questions? Oh, come on. None? Nobody wants to talk. Let's see, what else can I talk about? Father Tom, do you have anything you would like to add? No? Okay. All right. Well, I will... Oh, go ahead, Bill.
I'd like to know how Ed got by without paying taxes on his car.
Uh-oh. That might come out now. You're in trouble. I'm sorry. I don't know that answer. I'll defer to someone else. Okay. Well, again, I just want to encourage you to pull out those Journey of Faith and take time this week to read them, especially for prayer for next week, so you'll be prepared. Janet will be here to share with us about prayer, and bring your binder back with you. If you don't have questions, no questions. Okay. Father Tom, I will invite you to come up here and say a closing prayer for us, and we will dismiss early. How about that?
So miracles do happen. Let us pray. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, we ask you to fill our hearts and our minds with your grace and to help us on this journey, to give us the strength that we need to draw closer to you and to the Father. We ask this through Christ our Lord. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Yay!